Welcome to the Contractors Revenue Disruptor Podcast, where we teach you to win $1 million contracts. I'm Michael D. Young. What's up, family? This is Michael D. Young, your host for the Revenue Disruptor Podcast. Today, I have a very, very special guest with me, Kimberly Rosier Jean-Louis. Yep. I'm so happy that she's here today with 3D Strategic Management, Inc. Yes. And I've known her for a very, very long time. Yes. She is an industry professional. She has done the gamut. And with your vast experience, all of your knowledge, today, you're moving in exceptional areas, like you're traveling now, yes. You're speaking all the time, you're all over the place. Yes. You are operating the Orlando MWBE.
Got it. Yep. Business center. Yep.
And it's so great to see your growth. It's so great to see how I believe God has blessed you and opened up doors for you for all the work that you laid down ahead of time. And I think it's important to talk about that and maybe share a little bit to those that don't know you, that groundwork you put in to be in the position you are today, to be operating the Orlando
MWBE Business Center. Yeah,
exactly.
Funded by the United States Department of Commerce, multi-million-dollar contract. It's nothing but God.
Yeah.
It's nothing but God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what led to you, number one, working for different entities, governmental agencies, and leading their efforts for their diversity programs, and now owning your own company to focus on business development for diverse-owned firms? Like, what was that journey like? Talk to us about that.
Well, first, thank you for the opportunity to be here. I think most people don't realize that everything happens in your life happens for a reason. And so I grew up in Bradenton, Florida, around a lot of entrepreneurs, sidepreneurs, right? So they planted seeds. So my great-grandfather, Claude Miller, built a beauty salon on the side of the house in Osceola, Georgia. We're talking Clay Rose, Georgia, right?
Red clay.
Listen, right? So my great-grandmother apparently did hair on the side, which led to my aunts having a hair salon. And my uncle had a newspaper, still has that newspaper, Tempo News, in Sarasota, Florida. And then another aunt had a home store.
Okay.
So that home store where you had like juleps and or y'all call them flips probably. And candy and ice cream, right? So in the summers, I'm washing hair, I'm writing copy, I'm delivering ads, I'm selling juleps, I'm learning the market analysis, return on investment. I'm learning all these things, right? So that started my trajectory into going to FAMU and then working for, Pepsi and Orange County Public Schools, where I met you in your beginning of your journey. And so I realized that when I was in these different places, including the Orlando Airport and FDOT, I would get this feeling that it was time for me to move, right? And even when I worked for Dr. Harrison Henson, Jocelyn Harrison Henson, I was there 4 years and I was like, it's time for me to move. And it was a feeling because I felt like I had reached my goal there. But I knew that God was telling me to move. Yeah. That's always been a struggle for me. That's a struggle for entrepreneurs, is tapping in, being quiet and listening and know when it's really time to move.
Yeah. What were some of the things you think that signaled that it was time to move?
I was feeling like I had more purpose than I had there. I didn't want Jocelyn's role, but there was no other role for me. I still don't want her role. I think that she's phenomenal in that role. I felt that I was supposed to be doing different things and learning different things that were just not possible in that role. I felt like God had a purpose for me, but I didn't know what the purpose was.
Gotcha.
I just knew that I kind of needed to move.
Yeah. That's an awesome point just to think about in life. We all will travel and go through this journey. And if you're a person of faith like we are, you'll recognize God will speak to you, and he may not show you the end, but he'll show you next. He'll show you just what's next. And so there will be something on the inside of you just drawing you, pulling you to your next. I know myself, I went from out of school into working for a general contractor in Jacksonville, moved here, and then worked for a subcontractor in the drywall industry. And I worked for like 3-4 different drywall companies before I got back over to the general contracting
just
space.
Working, just going.
And some people will look at your resume and say, well, you moving every 2 to 3 years. What's going on? What's up with that? And you recognize looking back, no, I had things that God had to put in me to prepare me for my journey.
You had to get something over there.
Yeah.
And you had to add it to your toolbox.
Right.
And then you had to get something from the other place and add it to your toolbox.
Right.
Because you need all those tools in your final destination.
Right.
And they don't make sense. Like, why do I have this tool? Why am I learning this here?
Yeah.
And some lessons were learned the right way to do things, and some lessons were the wrong way to do things.
Right.
And don't do that.
Right.
When you get a chance to be in leadership, don't do that.
Right.
Right?
That's absolutely good.
Yeah.
So 3D Strategic Management Inc.
Yes.
Now the new venture, and you're winning awards left and right. It's like, I should have brought my awards. Yeah, it's all good. And we know that you've been winning so many awards, OBJ,
Power Player, this year.
Power Players this year. And I'm so happy for you. It's well deserved because the things you're doing. And I would say this, a true advocate.
I am.
A true, like a real legit advocate. And I don't say that lightly because some people are in the position, but they don't have the heart.
Right.
And some people say they have the heart, but they don't have the behavior.
Right. It's kind of, you can't really tell. I think because I know it's mission work. Mm-hmm. And when you know it's mission work, then you know that you have to be respectful of it in every move you make. Because I know that it's blessings tied to whomever I'm helping, but it's blessings tied to my legacy too. And I have to be authentic in who I am. And so I think the fact that you see me over the years, and I hope that I haven't changed. I hope that I'm still the same, right? Regardless of what role, whether I was working for Dr. Jocelyn Harrison Henson at Orange County Public Schools, or now having 3 federal contracts, right? When we know that only 1.6% of African Americans even have one contract. I know that's God.
Right.
I know that God has positioned me to lead because he knows I know this is mission work.
Right.
Yeah.
So talk about that for a second. Then we want to move into 3D and talking about the design, develop, and deliver. I want to talk more about that, but talk about mission work. Like, can you explain what does that mean to you and what is that legacy you're looking to leave? Yeah,
that's a good question. A legacy. What do I want my legacy to be? So I'm ever present and ever mindful that I am to help businesses grow and to help entrepreneurs grow, right? Because in every facet, just like I said, starting out, I was in a helping capacity, right? So with my aunts and my uncles I was a helper. And so God planted in me to be a helper, to be able to connect resources, right? So that's the women's conference coming up, and we could talk about that later. But 3D strategic management is the ability for me to be able to help businesses connect to resources that they can create generational wealth. And then they can set goals and aspirations for them and their family and their legacy and whatever that may be. So for me, when you talk about my legacy is that at the end of the day, I have 3 kids and now a grandbaby, Pooh.
All right.
I love Pooh.
All right. You done made it over.
I done made it over. I've been promoted.
Yeah.
So my biggest thing is that I want to leave a place and a legacy or products or services that my kids can walk into and that they can continue or that they can leverage for their purpose on this earth. And that I want people to see my daughter Dakota 20, 30 years from now, I say, I know your mom. Your mom helped me, helped my cousin. Right. She was instrumental in this, right? That she was a vessel. Right. She was a resource to help, right? And I know that it's entrepreneurship, but I know it's women and it's youth and it's small businesses.
Awesome. That's so awesome to actually have identified not only your purpose, but what your legacy should be. And I think everyone that's on this entrepreneurial journey should take the time to assess, ask God think about, see your journey and say, this is part of my purpose.
Yeah.
Let me execute. And I've heard a story told about some of our ancestors. And when we think about Harriet Tubman, when we start thinking about
Sojourner Truth,
right? Yeah. Some of the legacies that we have in our community, and we continue to talk about them today, and to know that we're next.
Yeah.
Like one day, generations from now, somebody will be talking about Kimberly, and it's great to know that. It's great to have the mindset to be intentional. As she was playing our worship music, getting us ready for this podcast,
intentional.
Listen, I believe in that. And that's why I wanted to have you on today, because I know that you are intentional. And as business owners, we must be intentional on procuring work and doing this work that we feel purpose to do. And so, honestly, I have to be honest with you. Before researching 3D strategic management, I did not know what 3D meant.
Yeah.
And to find out what we call, you have a framework behind that and the things you're providing. Tell us maybe more about 3D and a strategy for each one of those Ds that somebody could use?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, 3D strategic management actually stands for design, development, deliver, but it also stands for my 3 kids.
Okay.
So my son, and if you look at my logo, and I encourage you to look at my logo, it's Dallas, Dakota, and Destin.
Okay.
Those are my 3 kids.
Awesome.
So it's 3D, and then my company does strategic management. And so even if you look at my logo, I'm very intentional in the sense that my logo, if you look at the lettering in my logo, you'll see that the R and the C are actually the first names of my kids, because my kids go by their middle names.
Okay.
And so those are my boys.
All right.
And then the A is underneath, and I have the A highlighted because that's my daughter. She's Anderson.
All right.
So my boys are watching over my daughter.
All right.
So I'm very intentional.
Yeah.
And I think as a business owner or as a person that's stepping into entrepreneurship, you have to be intentional about what it is that's your gift. Mm-hmm. And what's your passion? Because your passion fuels your purpose.
Right.
Right. And you have to stand it and know what it is, because you're going to be questioned. You're going to be challenged. You're going to have people compare you. Some people think I'm the best business coach in the world, and some people think I'm overhyped. Right. Mm-hmm. But I know my purpose. And so those comments either way don't sway me.
Right.
And I think that's important for you to know, because even when you think about like Michael Jordan and you think about Dennis Rodman, right? Michael Jordan was no doubt one of the best basketball players ever, athletes ever.
Right.
Right. But Dennis Rodman couldn't compare himself to Michael Jordan. They're on the same team. Right. Mm-hmm. But Dennis Rodman was the best at his role.
What he did. Yeah.
He stayed focused on his role.
Yeah.
Right. And even though if you hear interviews with Michael Jordan, he'll say, I would not have been successful without him. Because there's offense and defense. And so Dennis Rodman understood his role. And one of the things, if you know Dennis Rodman off the court, well, he was a little extra.
Right.
He was a little extra. He was edgy. Yeah. When he stepped into the court, he understood his role. Right. Okay. And if you always remember, regardless of what happens on the outside, if you stay focused on your role and your purpose, then that's what you're measured on. Right. Yeah. And what I love is that Dennis Rodman once said, hey, I know my role. Mm-hmm. I stay focused on my role. So even when he got a foul, he would go to the free throw line. I'm such a sports girl. Okay. He would go to the free throw line and he would just throw the ball. Uh-huh. We had no expectations that he was going to try and make the shot, right? Yeah. That's what Michael Jordan did. I'm going to make sure that when they come down on my side, that I'm blocking every shot, right? I'm getting into the other player's head. I'm doing what I was intentionally supposed to do in this role, right? So 3D strategic management, when you get back to that, my role is to be able to design products and services for our clients, right? To develop those, right? And manage those and to deliver beyond their expectation. Okay. So we're talking about the United States Department of Commerce Minority Business Development Agency contract, which I have 3 from them. I've awarded 3, right? Okay. Wrote, researched, and won those proposals, right? I had to design a program right? A business center program, a 5-year program. I'm now monitoring that and facilitating that contract. We have over about 240 clients in that particular, the business center contract. I have.
So is that the incubator space or is that
no, that's
business?
Totally different. That's 3D. So 3D Strategic Management has 5 programs. We just talked about the Orlando MBDA Business Center. Everything I do is within my lane. That's another thing I want to talk about really quickly is that be a master of your lane. And if you just master your lane, you can have multiple streams of income in your lane. People think that I got to be a hairstylist and an astronaut. No, you can be a hairstylist. You can be a hairstylist and have hair care products. You can sell clothes. You can be a coach. You can, you know what I mean?
That's still your lane.
That's still your lane and you're a master in it. So my lane is business development, public relations, business development. So at 3D Strategic Management, and I have 5 companies, 3D Strategic Management is just one. I have 4 additional companies, right? So 3D Strategic Management, staying in my lane, mastering your lane, right? I have 2 contracts with the U.S. Department of Commerce actively right now. I have a rural business center in Milton, Florida.
All right. That's up by my neck of the woods.
Pensacola, right outside Pensacola. I chose Milton. I had the opportunity to choose any rural area in the state of Florida when I wrote the proposal, and I chose Milton. Because we know that the I-10 corridor is desolate. For resources, business development resources for small and diverse minority businesses. I chose Milton, right? So I have that contract. I also have a Women Empowerment Wednesday and a women's conference, the MWBE conference, and you'll see it on all social media. That is my initiative to help women business and focus on women, right? And then I have a SEED program, a student entrepreneur education development, a SEED program, and that's for my youth. And then I have an incubator, right? So I have space in downtown Orlando that businesses can come and they can get resources they need. You always want to know the differentiator about your business. So the differentiator about my business incubator is that we work with our tenants to let them know about opportunities that are coming up. So for instance, I have a client that's actually out of Atlanta. He wants to increase his footprint here in Central Florida. So I let him know when he should be at a meeting. I let him know if he should be there or a team member should be there. Right?
Because not most incubators, you're just utilizing the space.
Yeah, but it's got to be more than a space. Right? It's got to be intentional. You have to be able to use that space intentionally, right? So I know that a business, you need space, you need an address, right? Because you don't want to use your home address. You want to be able to have a business coach that can come in and talk to you, but you need to be able to understand how you're moving and navigating your business. And if it's a meeting or if it's a strategic partnership, you should be intentional about making sure that that organization can connect you to that opportunity.
Awesome. You doing the thing, like so many areas that you are improving the community. And I know that's part of your purpose to pour back into our local community. And I understand from 3D, you have the design, develop and then deliver, right? So with design, what are some things people can do as you are coaching them that maybe they're not thinking about to work on the design part of their business?
I think when you start a business, you have to understand where you want to take that business, right? And when I say where you want to take that vehicle, it's like having a vehicle. Where do you want that vehicle to go and what vehicle you want it to be? Right. So if you wanted to get to Vegas, right? Or you want to get a message to Vegas, and I've done this exercise before, you got to know how you want that message to get to Vegas. So if you have a product or service, what are you doing? How do you want to enter it into the market? What do you want your brand identity to be? What is the culture of your company? What is your purpose in that product or service? How is it supposed to impact? Right? So not only having a vision, not only having a purpose, but you got to be able to develop what you want that product to look like and how do you want it to get to that destination. The destination is either the client or a customer or the market. And
then we move from designing and understanding where you want to go, how you want to get there. And then now what I like to talk about, the strategy part, right? Develop. So what are some strategies you see small businesses not using?
So we know that people do business with people they know and they trust.
Oh yeah, come on, talk to me. You about to talk my class now. Now, if you all follow me, you will hear me say that almost every one of my podcasts. I said over and over again. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you an example. Okay. So it doesn't matter what it is, this works. Okay. So my daughter is a senior, right? And so I wanted to make sure that she gets involved in as many activities as possible, right? So the project is to get my daughter into college and get as many scholarships as possible. That's the project, right? So I said, let me call around to my network and see who has opportunities. So I called this one particular person. I thought they were going to tell me about an opportunity at their company. She was like, oh, but did you think about this opportunity, right? I'm like, okay, great. So I called the person that manages that initiative. Now, I will tell you, it's called Go for the Greens. So I called someone who told me to go for the Greens. Go for the Greens is started by Diane Sears. I had Diane Sears on my Women Empowerment Wednesday show years ago. Okay. Met her. She came to my show. We had a great time. We've seen each other a couple here and there. So I called Diane. Hey, Diane, I hear you have a Go for the Greens initiative and it has a youth component. Would love to find out more information. She said, have your daughter apply. I'll take care of it. I said, okay. So my daughter applied to be part of the Go for the Greens. It's an event held at Disney, and it's a week long, and it brings women together across the world. It was a delegate from Canada, right? So that they can learn about how to network and play golf, right? So you want to be able to play golf. So Dakota applied and she was accepted. 2 weeks later, Diane Sears calls me and she said, hey, Kim, actually, we've been talking. We want you to lead a panel discussion. Would you be a keynote speaker at the conference? Of course, I'll be a keynote speaker at this conference. So I attend the conference. My daughter and I are there. We're in a hotel at Disney for a week. My daughter is with 30 other young ladies from across the United States. She's networking. She's meeting powerful women from different countries. She developed 2 mentors. One is a VP of international sales for UPS, who's located in Canada. Right. So out of that conference, I met so many people. So now I have my own conference, and 3 of the women I met there are now my speakers at my conference.
Right. So never overestimate the power of the room you're in. Right.
You're in. And let me tell you, at the conference, right before I left, I said, let me give you an example of how you need to be able to carpe diem. You should always have an ask ready, loaded.
What's up, everybody? If you are a construction contractor and you're looking to win $1 million contracts, grow and scale your business, I help contractors win $1 million contracts so they can make more money working fewer projects with less employees. And we do this through my mentorship program. In my mentorship program, we have bi-monthly group coaching, we have CEO groups, we provide you an online course, and we teach you the strategies you need in order to scale your business, and we help implement the systems you need on the back end to support your growth. Because number one, you definitely need the resume, the resources, and the relationships to scale your business. Then we've recently added a mentor protege program with major corporations. This is huge because number one, it allows you to learn how other major corporations desire their projects to be run, so you understand their expectations. You're learning, growing, and developing relationships with major corporations, which always leads to more business opportunities. I want to tell you, no one else is doing this in the industry, and you've come to the right place if you are looking to truly grow and scale your business. I've done it over and over again. I've won multiple awards for scaling a construction company, and I want to show you everything that I did to do it. So if you're looking to scale, grow your business, win $1 million contracts, sign up right now for my free training. It's very simple. It'll be on the screen, and we'll see you soon. God bless.
An ask should always be loaded, right? So as I'm ending my presentation to this room full of women, and they had the young ladies in there, and I said, Dakota, stand up. And she was like, oh, I don't know what my mom getting ready to do. And I said, this is my daughter, Dakota. She is preparing to go to college.
Wow.
This is my biggest project right now.
Right.
If there's anyone in the room that knows about a scholarship or an enrichment opportunity, please let me know.
Wow.
I found out about a $25,000 scholarship that is on the table.
Wow. That's awesome. So understanding that it's relationships. Understanding is people.
Asking.
Sometimes that you just met.
Yeah.
That still may say, you know what? I see something in you.
Yeah.
Let me find a way to be a blessing and pour back into you. Yes, you never know.
You never know
what can happen.
And you have to ask.
Yeah.
Right?
You have to ask.
So part of that whole question was developing. You have to understand your project. You have to develop a plan.
Yeah.
And you have to be ready to ask.
Yeah.
You also have to be able, and I said this before, you have to be able to have a bank. And you can have an emotional bank. You can have a resource bank, right? A bank is just a collection of things, right? So when we're talking about a bank, I'm really big and I'm intentional on developing relationships. I develop at least 3 new relationships every week, right? So I increase that bank of relationships. I have to increase the bank of contacts that increases your bank of contracts.
Say that one more time.
For the ones in the back.
Yeah, say that one more time.
So you must be intentional that you're increasing your bank of contacts.
Okay.
So that you can increase your bank of contracts.
Okay.
Because people do business with people they know and they trust.
Right.
So if you want to have access to more contracts,
right.
you have to have access to more contacts.
Yeah.
People who can vouch for you, people who have seen you do your work, people can tell you about a contract opportunity, people who may want to go into a joint venture or a team agreement with you. People who can ask you and speak about you in a room when you're not in that room.
Right. That's really good. You know, I do want to also talk about certifications.
Yes.
Just for a minute. And the reason why it came to my mind when I was thinking about the conversation with you today was that I had one client that is not focused on government contracts. They're more focused on private sector. And he was teaching his daughters, which has come into the business, that he doesn't want to ever feel like he has to rely on a certification, or he doesn't want to feel like it will place a stigma on him. Can you talk about the misnomer behind certifications and why certifications are important based on your experience?
And I have a unique perspective because I used to actually do certifications for the airport.
I remember.
I came and did your certification, right?
Yeah.
So for Orange County Public Schools, you're led in the airport. So I understand that certification is a designation, right, for your business. And it affords you an advocate. It affords you an entire department within an organization that's lobbying for you, that's advocating for you, that's looking at contract opportunities for you. So if nothing else, get certified so you have an advocate, right? That advocate, when I was in that role, I would go to the procurement department every month and I would sit down, and Nellie Nito, who was the procurement director for Orange County Public Schools at the time, would look at what's coming down the pipeline. What contracts are 60 days out, 90 days out, a year out. They would look at this. And so I would sit in that room and look at what's coming down the pipeline. And so my role was to come back and let minority and small businesses know, hey, this is coming down the pipeline. Get ready. Also, if it's part of the sunshine, right, where it's public record, you can also get the last contract. And find out who bid last time, what was the rate, were there any, who were the players, right? Who were the plan holders? So from an advocacy point, you want to make sure at no cost, you can have an advocate looking out for you, telling you information, inside information. From an external perspective, having a certification is like making your knock on the door louder. It does not guarantee the door is going to open. It's if you're knocking on your own, it's like a knock. But if you have your certification, it's a boom because I hear you coming through on the other side, right? And so you want to make sure your knock is heard, right? So as far as the idea that you shouldn't, certification has a negative connotation to it, it's actually something that helps primes to be able to reach a goal.
What do you mean by primes?
So when I say primes, there's a contract on the table whatever the contract may be, there's a primary person that's going after the contract.
Okay.
And the primary person is managing that contract. So then they will have subcontract opportunities, right? So either you're going to be the prime, which means you sign a contract with that entity with Orange County Public Schools, or you're going to be a subcontractor and you sign a contract with the prime. You're helping the prime to be able to facilitate and be able to achieve that goal of that contract, right? So if the prime has a goal or a contract has a goal of 30% participation for a small business or minority business, they have to be able to find a subcontractor that has the certification, the designation to be able to be in compliance with that contract.
Good.
Right?
Good. So that gives, it gives a person an opportunity that maybe they didn't have before.
Right.
I like the illustration you gave. It makes your knock loud.
It makes it so loud.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That I see you through the door.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know for our company, ACY Contractors, you know, where we met you, that's where we entered initially, having worked for other companies that were doing government work. And then we saw that as what we call low-hanging fruit for us. It was an opportunity that was more accessible than trying to start from nothing.
Right.
And I think for those that are out there and they feel like, hey, I just need to get some work, get something going, more experience, that's a low-hanging fruit that you could utilize. Let's talk about real quick some of the things that a company will need to have in place for approval of a diverse certification.
Oh, yeah. So you want to make sure. So I heard the story earlier about the person. There's a guy who has the company. His daughters are coming into the company, right? I want to be clear that if there's a company where the male has, whether it's the dad or the husband has the resume, you want to be careful with that, right? You want to make sure that you bring your spouse or the female that's coming into that certification up to par and they be able to answer questions regarding operations
so
and managing that business. They understand it, right?
Right.
So, but if it's strictly, say, a woman wants to get certified, you want to make sure that you have, of course, your legitimate business, right? You're registered with some business, Department of state, whatever state it is. So you want to be a legitimate business. You want to have a bank account, right? In the
business bank account.
A business in the bank name, which we have to have an EIN number, right? You want to make sure that you have all of your licenses, right? Professional licenses. You want to have all of your insurance. You want to make sure that you have a resume that shows and demonstrates that you can do the work.
Okay.
Because most certifications request a resume. Right. So you may say, well, I'm new in selling pencils, right? I'm going after this contract with Orange County Public Schools or whomever to sell pencils. Have you sold anything before? Right? So your resume should show that you're able to sell and manage the selling of a product, right? You want to make sure that you have in a certification a location, a lease that's in your name, right? And that's something that you can get a lease from Home Depot with your landlord and sign it like this. There's a couple of different lists of things that you want to have. Some certifications have limitations for your personal assets. Okay. So you want to make sure that you understand what your personal assets and how you break that down. So if it's a woman or if there's a couple, if they're married, or if it's just a woman, she's married and she's going after that certification, half of her assets, if she's married, you only count half. So if they own a home and the home is $500,000, then she has $250,000 because the other half is her husband. So we can help with 3D strategic management. We can help with certification. That's something that we do.
That's awesome. So if I'm starting a business like from nothing, and I'm 6 months down the road, I'm looking for work, how can 3D strategic management help me with my company?
Yeah. So we'll do a basic needs assessment. We get in and find out. It honestly is 100 questions that we ask, right? Because we have to be able to understand where you are, your business, and where you want to go, right? Like in the trenches, where have you started your business credit journey? Where are you with your personal credit, right? Because we may have to rely on that. We want to look at, do you have any inventory? Where are you as far as your contract ready, willing, and able for your contracts, right? ready, will, and able. 3 different things, right? So we do an assessment, and then we use that assessment to be able to chart. And I use a Gantt chart to chart how we can help you to achieve your goal.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
As we kind of wrap up, I want you I know you have a women's conference coming up, so I want you to talk about that.
Okay.
And then any strategies, let's just pick one, like a major strategy a small business should be utilizing right now in their business. And then just a last thought. So business conference, a last strategy, and then just a last thought.
Thoughts. Okay, got it. So I'm so excited about my women's conference, MWBE Women's Conference. And it started because when I was in 2nd grade, Miss May Daisy Williams, we all have that one teacher as a kid, used to always tell me, Kim, MWBE. And it wasn't that I wasn't doing my work. I was doing my work, but I was so focused on telling on other kids because they weren't doing their work.
Like my wife.
Because that's what we do, right? So busy worried about everybody else, right? Whether they doing what they're supposed to do or not. I'm on it, right? Yeah. And so I thought about that. That is what women do. We're so focused, unfortunately, on everybody else and what everybody else is doing. Mm-hmm. And we don't mind our own business. Mm-hmm. We don't master our own business. Mm-hmm. And the nurturing part of us wants to be able to fix or help or develop everybody in the world. Right. But at what deficit does it come to you? Yeah. What does it come to your purpose? Yeah. Right? So this conference, when I put together this conference, I too was guilty of having meetings and conferences where we came together and we sung and we danced and we held hands and so we felt good in that moment. But when we left, there was no strategy in place, right? You go to a conference, you hear a woman's testimony and you're like, oh my gosh, right. She did that, but then I go home and I don't know how to do it, right? So this conference was intentional in giving women the tools they need to be successful in their own business. So a woman who is just starting her business or a sidepreneur is not in the same business cycle as a woman who's been in existence for a couple of years. So I broke the conference up into 2 different conferences. You have the Mind Your Business, and that's for startups and scale-ups and sidepreneurs, right? And so that's starting the journey. And every speaker that we have over 25 speakers at this conference. Okay. Each speaker is going to teach on their particular discipline, as well as give them workbooks. Mm-hmm. This is a working conference. You come in with your notebooks, your laptops, you come in comfortable. We're going to learn, right? And so the second conference is Master Your Own Business, and that's for your seasoned entrepreneurs, right? So what about that woman who's been running her business successfully? Maybe now it's time to think about starting a nonprofit. Mm-hmm. Because with a for-profit, I can get a sponsorship for $5,000 fairly easy, maybe $7,000, right? Because that corporation is going to put on their marketing budget. But if I have a nonprofit, I can get $25,000, I can get $50,000 because now this is a write-off for that corporation, right? Gotcha. So it's a different game that you're playing when you're a startup versus you've been in the business for a while. And that's just one example. So the whole purpose of this conference is to take women businesses to the next level, right? And to be able to fulfill my mission, right? To connect women to resources so they can have generational wealth. Good. Right? So that's the conference. It's here in Orlando. So you can go to MWBE, any social media platform, or you can go to 3dstrategicmanagement.com and register to attend the conference. Please come. It's an opportunity. We also have pitch competition. So we have a $5,000 and a $15,000 prize value at that conference. So yeah, we're doing all these things to help women grow. And I'm really excited about that. Now, one strategy I would give. Yeah. People do business with people they know and they trust. Right? Oftentimes we go to said conferences and we meet, 50 people. Mm-hmm. And what happens is if I go to a conference and I talk to you, mm-hmm. you're going to send me an email. Mm-hmm. And your email's going to be like, hey, it was a pleasure meeting you. Right. You may even include your capability statement, which is a marketing tool every company should have,
every company should have.
Right? Yes. But you're going to put that in the email. Yes. And you say, so much pleasure to meet you. Here's my capability statement. Let me know when we can maybe connect. First of all, there was no ask. Right? And so I'm going to get 50 of those, right? Mm-hmm. And so I missed 3 days in the office going to this conference.
Right. Now you got to play catch up.
Now I got to play on my own because I'm trying to MWBE, right? And then I've met you and 49 other people, and we all have exchanged who we are. Great. What makes you different than the other 49 emails I got? Mm-hmm. One strategy you could do is get in that DM.
What kind of DM? You talking about social media?
No,
okay.
LinkedIn. LinkedIn, right?
Okay.
Go to LinkedIn. Find them in LinkedIn, right? And preferably, if you go into a conference, connect with them before you go to the conference. Most conferences, like I just released 2 flyers. Those flyers have 25 women. Mm-hmm. Go and connect with them on LinkedIn before you get to the conference, right? Mm-hmm. Right. So, but if you don't have a chance because you don't know who the speakers are, once you meet them, like when you go back to your hotel room, right? You go back to your office, connect with them on LinkedIn, create a 1-minute video and send it to them in LinkedIn.
I feel like I heard this before.
Because I told you last week when we talked.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, go ahead.
I'm glad you remembered it. So this is something that has worked so well for my clients. Mm-hmm. You create a quick video, but you research them, right? So you may find that they just received an award, right? The Gator 100, right? So I would say, he's received the Gator 100 from 2019. So my video will go like this. Hey, Michael, it was a pleasure meeting you at your serial entrepreneurship conference. I really had a great time. By the way, congratulations on your Gator 100 certificate. That was amazing. Right. Hey, I would love the opportunity to talk to you because I think we have this thing in common, right? That can be advantageous to help you and being able to achieve your goal. Are you available in the next 2 weeks for like 15 minutes? Yeah. I would love to take you to lunch or do a lunch and learn via Zoom. Please let me know.
Right. Awesome. Strategy. Yeah.
Stop sending emails with your capability statement, right? Because then there's no ask to it. Right. I'm not going to save it on my desktop. I'm not going to put it in the cloud of my storage of my things, right? You want to also be able to know that person was intentional, and I've been consistent with that word intentional, about how I want to connect with you, right? How am I going to solve a problem that you have that you don't even know you have, or that I noticed that could be of value to you? I never ask for you to help me. I should have something that I can help you. And by helping you, I'm helping myself.
There we go.
Which is why every year I have this thing where I have the whole year is based on a phrase. I'm intentional. This year, 2023, was joy in the journey. I wanted to be intentional about enjoying this journey of this entrepreneurship, because before I wasn't enjoying it. I was making the money. I was getting the contracts, but I wasn't enjoying it. So intentionally this year, I've been enjoying it. I went over to Europe for 10 days by myself to Malta. I enjoyed it. Right. My slogan for this year is win-win. Because I want to be intentional about, if I can't help you win, then I might need to look at whether or not we need to have an interaction, right? And sometimes the win, it could be just celebrating your win. But we must be intentional about how we connect to people. And if you know you're in your winning season and everything around you is winning because you're winning, you want to make sure you're connecting to people that you want to win with you. Gotcha. Because if they're not connecting to help you win, they're going to drain you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sabotage you.
Absolutely.
So it has to be a win-win.
Oh, that was so good. Listen, everybody, I hope you all were grabbing some of these gems that Kimberly was giving to us. You know, I can just think about so many points that you made in our conversation today in regards to just people do business with those they like, know, and trust. That is so huge. And even when you are going to a conference, going to a meeting, that you have an ask that is prepared and that is ready. Yeah. That when you're looking at developing relationships, that you're not only thinking about what you need, but you actually consider what the person needs. Yeah. So you're thinking, how can I help them? Yeah. And not just myself, because the more you help others, as the Bible says, we reap what we sow. Come on now. So if you are able to help somebody else, it will come back to you.
It will.
And I'm so excited. I'm so excited to have you here today to talk about all of the things that you're doing, not only as a person, but the legacy that you're leaving here on this earth through 3D strategic management, and also the great work that you're doing here at the business center. I'm so excited. Listen, you all, if you need help in your business, you're trying to go to the next level, any type of way, Kimberly has federal contracts to help you. So listen, if money is an issue, you need to talk to Kimberly, right? If money's not an issue, you can come talk to me. But if money is an issue, you need to go talk to Kimberly so you can get some help. I do want to say thank you
my pleasure.
For all of your help along our journey.
Yeah.
Like you always say, Michael, if y'all need something, come see me.
Let me
always
know. Let me know.
I mean, I'm serious. You always did that. So no, you haven't changed in that regard. Yeah. And so thank you for being your authentic self.
Yes.
Listen, you all, thank you for watching another episode of the Revenue Disruptor Podcast. We're looking to see you grow. We're looking to see you scale because we want you to win. All right. So we'll see you soon.
Bye.
All right, we clear.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great conversation.
Yeah.
We're going to take a picture.
Okay, cool.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode. I'm so excited about your new journey. And if you are a construction contractor looking to win $1 million contracts, join me by going to www.winmilliondollarcontracts.com. See you soon.